Did you know that living newborn is a girl 11-year-old who was born with a heart out of her body? Or what goes from Winkle, 92 years old, is the most influential grandmother on Instagram. In this video you will meet 10 people who are one among a million here. You will see how their individuals display characteristics, exceptional physiques that makes them stand out from the crowd and have overcome all the challenges that life throws at you and has thrown. Let's see what is terrific. Number 10. Borun, like many other girls, wine-wise, loves to play, dance, sing and draw. At first glance, she looks like a young girl, ordinary, until you find out who was born with her heart out of her chest. That is because she suffers from a great disease called pentalogy of Cantrell, characterized by a spectrum birth defects that can affect the sternum, the diaphragm, the heart and the abdominal wall. But in this case, this young Russian suffers from Hector Yacodis, of the rarest forms of the disease, characterized by growth of the heart out of the chest, leaving it exposed and vulnerable. This variant of Cantrell's pentology affects 1 in a million and is often deadly if not intervened surgically. However, the fragility and complexity of the heart, this duty is so severe that doctors have chosen not to perform the surgery. Number 9. Baddiewinkle, with 92 years old, with 3.5 million followers on Instagram and her own cosmetic line as it was simple Kylie Jenner. Darwin Code is grandma's influencer who rose to fame despite her granddaughter posted a photo she took of herself viral by showing her with her attitude of a bad girl and her eccentric style full of most scandalous colors that you can imagine. Born on July 18th of 1928, as the root slam grew in a harsh farm from the dark years of the Great Depression and spent 28 years working in a factory. In 1987, she lost her husband in a tragic accident and her son died of cancer at the age of 46. So at turning 85, felt like she was already tired of mourning, and with the help of her granddaughter, she became an influencer that, in addition to having Rihanna and Miley Cyrus as her followers, she has starring commercials for the Navy Gym and Smirnoff. Pratik Vitthal, the world's smallest bodybuilder. He was born in Kochali, a small town in India where he spent his early years of life until her parents noticed that he should go to the big city because none of the local doctors knew how to determine why he was so small than other children his age. When starting elementary school, diagnosed with dwarfism, and their companions continued to grow while he stayed small. The teasing, I don't know, they made you wait instead of giving up, decided to transform his body 99 centimeters high so that the other people can see it in a different way. After training tirelessly in the gym, the 44 award-winning bodybuilder awards in national competitions, Patrick Express, and the first time he went up on the stage and was greeted with applause and gestures of admiration. This encouraged to continue working, becoming one of the greatest exponents of bodybuilding in India. Number 7. Luxuries for some people, tattoos and piercing represent a way to express their identity, but in this case, the German Rolf Buchholz is more well a way of life that has made him win the title of man with the greatest number of body modifications. He recounts that he did not always want to stand out among the crowd, and indeed, his first tattoo was made by the relative latte at the age of 40, but immediately got addicted to body art and started experimenting with piercings. Now that 22 years have passed since his first tattoo, has been 561 piercing, my god, including 158 that distort his lips, and also has 2 subdermal implants that protrude from the top of his head, as it was a pair of horns. Number 6. Came to be born 22 years ago, Brooks was diagnosed with a genetic disorder known as ectodermal dysplasia, which affects your skin, your hair and your teeth. But the worst part that came during the difficult years of childhood and adolescence, when wondering about why he was so different from others. To overcome the insecurities, Brooks turned to fashion because he thought that if he was not naturally beautiful, at least I could use a clothes for represent yourself by the way. Well, he wanted to be perceived by others and declares who came to be modeling by accident already knew at that time that when he was in college studying performing arts and photography, he was approached by a designer fashion to pose for her wearing creations little by little. Brooks was feeling comfortable posing as a model and was demonstrated that the fashion industry there is space for the representation for different people while expressing that the best form of beauty is that highlights diversity, and I couldn't agree more. Number 5. Giovanni here is a fan of fitness that has worked tirelessly to lead a healthier life after being overweight, but unlike others who try to lose as much weight as possible, opted to gain muscle mass and now weighs almost 100 kilos of pure muscles, to end up admitting that they do look like a female version of Coach. However, the drastic change Rahki physiques leads many people to say that even she looks like a man, and even came to question that their gender, cause that girl from Miami felt so conscious that she stopped, left her house and began to feel resentment towards fitness. Before she considered her savior, the life of spine reached at a tipping point when she realized that the fact have more muscles than most men does not mean that you cannot feel feminine, and now that she has adopted a strict beauty regimen, feels as a superwoman capable of achieving anything. Number 4. Su Mingming, with the height of 2.36 meters and the weight of 168 kilos. Chinese Xu Mingming is one of the players of the highest basketball players in the history of the sport, but the reality is that many trainers thought that he would be an excellent player solely for his height without taking any physical accounts. Deficiencies such as feet deformed from wearing shoes too much small and acromegaly caused by a tumor in the pituitary gland prevented you from generating the right amount of testosterone, essentially to exert yourself during a training or matches. Basketball, during his career as a played, he scored 28 points in 23 games and could never make it to the NBA. However, he started a career as actor and achieved a Guinness World Record when he married her already gamer 1.87 meter tall handball, for thus forming the highest couple of the planet combined height of a stunning 4.23 meters. I am impressed by that. Number 3. David Kengen and Baby was born in countries low suffering from a known disease as Tara syndrome, whose trait characteristic are the lack of arms, and in this case, this young man, his hands are glued directly to his torso. Despite of all these difficulties, not having arms, his mother encouraged him to practice some sport, for which at the age of 7 he began to attend a little karate, because he disciplined represented a challenge that with much effort he could overcome eventually. Dave got a belt in a black color to attend the 13th Karate Championship held in Tokyo in 2014, where he left the public and swore in total silence that the showcasing his abilities and spirit while demonstrating that being disabled does not mean that you can't achieve your dreams. Number 2. Oliver Richters, also known as the Dutch Giant Oliver, is with difference the tallest bodybuilder of the world when measuring up to 2.18 meters and has a weight of 155 kilos. But despite exhibiting a body of a movie star, action at the beginning had several physical limitations because at birth your heart was 20% smaller and was arranged at the wrong angle. So tiny for someone of such height caused him fatigue and lack of breath every time he trained in the gym. So when seeking help from an expert, found a doctor who performed a surgery that consisted of fracturing 10 new ribs to realign the heart, and required 6 months of rest until he could return to gym. Through training, therapies and a lot of hard work, Oliver has gained control over his body to sculpt a massive muscle impressive that has catapulted him to work on various productions in Hollywood, and also plans to start a career as a professional wrestler. Number 1. Pamela Watara. This model and actress was born in Kenya in 1996 and lived there for the next 15 years until she moved to Ghana, where continued her studies in marketing without embargo. After going to Instagram and showing her physical attributes, launched a career as a model and made the transition to the acting industry by participating in Rockstar House Hospital, one of the most popular movies released in Africa in 2019. As Pamela, she is curvy, and her body in fact today is one of the most requested stars for star in music videos. Many Ghanaian artists and also explain that unlike other girls who does not like to call her because of her physical appearance, she loves the attention you get when she walks down the street and on social media, where she has more than 300,000 followers, talking about how her breasts came to be. Growing up so much says it. Well, I was curious, and at that time, embarrassing time, because she was 14 years and obese, being bigger than the other hand, and had to wait 6 years for finally both reach the same size, if you know what I mean. Now it's your turn. You meet other people who looks like one in a million. Leave your opinion in the comments if you learned something new and share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.